Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. Today, we are going to talk about pronunciation. Yes, we can say that pronunciation is often one of the most persistent challenges for adult learners of English. Yes, well, if we focus on vocabulary and grammar, they are not, because vocabulary and grammar can be memorized through repetition, structured learning. Pronunciation involves complex coordination between listening and speaking, right? And also the muscle memory. Many adults learners carry fossilized pronunciation errors from their early exposure to English, making them difficult to correct. Yes. However, with the right activities or strategies, these habits can be repaired and replaced with more accurate pronunciation. All right. So for that, we need to understand common pronunciation challenges, right? And before diving into correction techniques, it is important to understand what makes pronunciation difficult for EFL adults. And some of the problems can be um, the native language interference, that is the L1 influence. For example, for someone whose first language is Spanish, maybe he or she will have an influence, a big influence when speaking the second language, which is English, right? Or maybe French, Italian, you know. The second point can be the lack of exposure to authentic pronunciation. Yes, they need to be they need to listen to authentic pronunciation from native speakers. Nowadays, it says that there is not a correct English because we usually have American pronunciation, British pronunciation, but there are more. But it is a problem for some students because they need to be exposed to the authentic pronunciation. Yes, and that can be a problem. Fossilized errors. Yes, there are some errors that we carry from the very beginning when we learned a new language. Like, for example, some students they get confused and they combine the meaning into realize and do. And since they are in high school, elementary school, they have that mistake. And then when they are adults and they continue doing that mistake, I mean, making that mistake, you see, if you are paying attention. Now, the next one is low auditory discrimination skills. Yes. And the last one I can say it's the embarrassment of lack of confidence, right? They have to bear in mind that learning a new language is learning how to communicate. So you have to feel free. But some students they are like embarrassed now when they speak. That's why they have lack of confidence, and that's that we have to fight, right? Now, what we have to do in those cases when they are like that? I would say number one, conduct a diagnostic assessment. Start by recording students speaking in natural contexts. Analyze their speech for segmental errors. That means individual sounds, yes, individual sounds, and the suprasegmental issues, the stress, intonation, rhythm, etc. When we talk about phonology, phonetics and phonology, for example, we need to care about that. Segmental and suprasegmental, because they are divided into two, right? Segmental, when we talk about the sounds, suprasegmental, we see the stress, well, the intonation and the rhythm, as we said before. Yes, it is very important to know these points because a student, when he or she speaks in like without intonation, without any rhythm, that could be a problem. For example, when asking, for example, a question like, what's your name? This is the basic question, what's your name? But some of them, they would say, what's your name? Without any intonation. But If we say, what's your name? Okay, that's part of suprasegmental. Yes. The second point we can consider is focus on high impact errors. Target errors that most affect comprehensively rather than striving for native like pronunciation. Yes, it is very common that some of the students they get confused, right? With well, they have common mistakes when pronouncing something. That's very common, yes, but they don't have to worry about that because they are going to learn that step by step. Now, how? Um, this is about the third point. Use phonemic charts or an IPA, that's the International Phonetic Alphabet, to raise students' awareness of English sound and spelling mismatches, right? Um, from the very beginning of the class, they don't need to know all the symbols. That's a mistake. They can practice maybe a day, we'd say, or a week, I don't know, two sounds, how to discriminate the sounds. For example, in the first week, I can teach them the difference between the vowel E and E, the long and the short sound, right? Like, for example, no, when they say repeat, right? E, right? Or sit, the verb sit down. It's not sit, things like that, okay? So this is a way that we can teach them step by step how to differentiate sounds. Yes? And from my experience, they love it. Students love when they discover that sound and when they say, oh, teacher, in the past I used to say this. Now I know the real pronunciation or the closest, right? The next point is prioritize listening skills. Yeah, we know that speaking is very important as well as listening. Listening is the foundation of pronunciation. Use minimal pairs and dictation activities to enhance phoneme discrimination, right? So here again, when the students they listen, yes, they listen to authentic English, they will get that pronunciation. Yes. And that's very important because we can tell them that they can watch the news every single day. Because when watching the news, they will be exposed to authentic pronunciation. Though maybe they would say, but teacher, they speak very fast and I don't get it. That's part of the learning, right? So, but the thing is that they are exposed. Maybe the first day, obviously, they will not understand, or maybe they will understand a little bit, but step by step. Maybe the first day I couldn't, the second day, now I understand a little bit. The first week, the second week, they would say, teacher, I could understand. Yes, and that's a process. Um, Another point is teach word stress and sentence stress. Yes. Many EFL learners struggle. They have problems with stress patterns. Teach arithmetic patterns using clapping or tapping, like hello, no, or like using your hands, right? Like, let's see, um, teacher, 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 teacher. Teaching a stress is very important, right? Oh, and obviously, um, visual feedback tools as well. We can use apps, we can use the software. Yes, we have many softwares, many important tools that we can use to provide real-time visualization of pronunciation as well. You can put it there in the big screen, right? And they can practice with real things, with real tools. Yes. Um, something that we used maybe when we were kids or when we were learning a second language or third language, I don't know, is using the mirrors for articulation practice. How is it? You were in front of the mirror and then you were speaking along, maybe. So you have to encourage your students to watch their mouth movements and compare them with models like, hello, how are you? Yes. So they can watch themselves. They can look at the mirror themselves, right? Um, well, and also this is very effective, I tell you. Very, very effective. Record and compare. Yes. Have students record themselves reading a passage, maybe, and then compare their version with the native speaker. Or maybe you can tell your students, okay, record that reading, yes, and then they send the recording to you, okay? That's one idea. Well, finally, we have many, many effective pronunciation activities that you can use in the classroom. Like we had the shadowing, minimal pair challenge, pronunciation bingo, sound hunt, tongue twister races. Yes, this is what I like the most, tongue twister, because you have to learn, not learn, is just read difficult sentences, right? Okay. And also you can use the karaoke time. You can play a video, play music on the big screen, and then they can sing, right? They try to sing, obviously. We have also role plays, read and record diaries, accent reduction videos, etc., etc., etc. We have many activities that we can use for our students, yes, so they can improve their pronunciation. Remember, when learning a new language, especially English, for example, they can go, they can start from the very beginning. Yes, as you learned your first language, you listened and you try to speak. It's not teaching grammar, it's not teaching vocabulary at the very beginning since they don't know how to pronounce. That's why it is so important to consider pronunciation in the classes. And of course, feedback, positive feedback is very important as well. Don't tell them in a bad way. If you correct your students with a bad attitude, they will hate the language. I tell you. That's all for today, and thank you so much for paying attention to this video. Thank you.